Let's continue learning the method of joining fabric pieces. The connection is divided into 4 parts. Follow the connection order marked on the chart to connect. After completing the connection of each section's fabric pieces, connect it with the previous section. The new stitch used here is SC2 tog. Below, please watch me demonstrate the specific crocheting method. First, let's learn the joining method for section 1. Section 1 is entirely made up of fabric piece 1. Connect them into a rectangular shape. Watch as I demonstrate the specific joining technique. Let's start by learning how to connect piece number 4 and piece number 6. I'll demonstrate using a sample swatch. Take the 2 fabric pieces that correspond to the connection position. Make sure the right side of the pieces is facing you. Piece number 6 is above piece number 4. Connect the bottom edge of piece number 6 to the top edge of piece number 4. The connection is made by working single crochets into the chain spaces on one side of the fabric piece. Then, connect it to the chain spaces of the other fabric piece with slip stitches. First, let's count the number of chain spaces on the 2 corresponding edges of the 2 pieces. If the quantities are identical, you can choose either piece to work the single crochets. If the quantities are different, you should choose the piece with more chain spaces to work the single crochets. Include the corner spaces in your count. Make a loose knot with the yarn tail. Leave the yarn tail a bit longer here, about 15 centimeters. This will be used for weaving in the ends. Hang the yarn tail on your left hand. Pick up the corresponding piece. With the connecting edge facing up. Insert the hook into the chain space at the far right corner of the piece. Draw the loop through. Make a beginning chain. Then work 1 single crochet in the same space. As you crochet, there's no need to weave in the beginning tail yet. Work 1 chain stitch next. Gently enlarge the loop. Remove the hook from the loop. Pick up the other piece. Place its wrong side against the first piece. Align the edges that need to be connected. Insert the hook from back to front into the chain space on the rightmost corner. Then insert the hook back into the previous loop. Gently tighten the tail. Draw the loop through. Make a chain stitch to secure. The first chain spaces of the 2 pieces are now connected. Continue by inserting the hook into the adjacent chain space on the front piece. Work a single crochet. Make a chain stitch. Loosen the loop. Insert the hook from back to front into the second chain space on the back piece. Bring the hook back through the loop. Draw the loop through. Make another chain stitch to secure. The second chain spaces of the two pieces are now connected. The rest of this side will be connected using the same method. Let me demonstrate below. When there are more chain spaces on the front piece, you can adjust the stitch count as follows. Work a SC2 tog across two adjacent chain spaces. Start with 2 incomplete single crochets. Insert the hook into the adjacent hole on the left side of the front piece. Draw the yarn through. 1 incomplete stitch is now complete. Next, insert the hook into the following hole. Pull the yarn through. The second incomplete stitch is now done. There are 3 loops on the hook. Yarn over. Pull through all loops. 1 SC2 tog is now complete. Continue by crocheting 2 chains and connect them to the back piece. This way, you made an adjustment to the stitch count of the front piece. Pay attention here. The number of chain stitches on the front piece is a few more than on the back piece. When connecting, you need to crochet a few SC2 tog stitches to adjust the stitch count. When you need to crochet a SC2 tog, you can do it at any position. When you need to crochet multiple SC2 tog stitches, you should distribute them roughly evenly. Everyone adjusts according to the actual situation. I won't remind you again after this. Continue with the same method as before. Connect this side completely. After connecting the last chain space at the corner, leave a yarn tail about 15 centimeters long. Pull the yarn tail through the loop. Tighten the tail. You can see that the connected edge is not very flat. Adjust it by weaving in the ends. Thread the end of the yarn into a sewing needle. Insert the sewing needle from the corner of the front piece. Don't pull the yarn too tight. Sew a few times along the joining point towards the back piece. There's no specific requirement for the insertion position. Just make sure the edge is flat after sewing. Once done, weave in the tail end along the texture of the wrong side of the fabric. You can hide it with a few more stitches if needed. Trim any excess yarn tails. The ending yarn tail is now hidden. Next, deal with the yarn tail at the cast-on point. The method is identical. Here, we sew from the back piece to the front piece. Follow the same technique as before to sew. After completing it, hide the yarn tail. The connection between the two pieces is now finished. Now let's connect another piece number 4 and piece number 6. On this side, piece number 4 is the double layer pocket position. Piece number 6 is above piece number 4. The insertion points for connecting piece number 4 are the chain spaces at the corners on both the left and right sides, and the chain spaces of the back fabric piece. Please watch me demonstrate. Pay attention to the insertion position for the last stitch. This is what the connection between pieces number 4 and number 6 on the right side looks like after completion. Following the previous method, neaten up the edges. I won't demonstrate it again. Now let's connect piece number 5. I will continue demonstrating with the swatch. Piece number 5 is located between two sets of pieces number 4 and number 6. The number 4 piece with the pocket is on the right. You still work single crochets on the side of the fabric piece with more stitches. When counting the stitches, the chain spaces at the corner positions on both sides of the joining point each count as 1 stitch. The joining point itself also counts as 1 stitch. There's no specified direction for connecting. The crochet methods for the joining points in two different directions are not the same. I will demonstrate the crocheting methods for these two cases separately. When piece number 5 is worked as the front piece, connect the front and back pieces following the previous method. Keep connecting until you reach the first corner space on the left. When you encounter the joining point on the back piece, insert the hook into the space below the joining point. Draw the loop through. Continue with the next connection. Don't forget the corner spaces on the edge of the back piece. This is what it looks like after the connection is completed. The edges can be adjusted to lay flat by sewing. I won't demonstrate that part. When piece number 5 is worked as the back piece, when you reach the joining point on the front piece, the insertion point for the single crochet is still the space below the joining point. The crocheting method for the other areas remains identical. You can connect piece number 5 to pieces number 4 and number 6 on either side by yourself. I won't demonstrate that part anymore. Let's take a look at the finished product. The joining method for the other pieces is the same. After completing the connection of piece number 5, connect piece number 3 below. It forms a large fabric piece. When you encounter the joining point, follow the previous method. Insert into the space below the joining point, and work the corresponding stitches. Then connect pieces number 7 and number 8 individually. Take out the fabric piece. Here, the first single crochet's turning chain is hooked into the rightmost single crochet stitch on the fabric piece. Don't forget to leave the yarn tail long enough. Next, work a single crochet in the adjacent space. Continue to connect them afterward. After the connection is complete, deal with the gaps. The gap on this side of the fabric piece, where the edging isn't crocheted, is relatively large. It needs to be sewn multiple times. When sewing, the insertion point should be at the corner edge of the fabric piece. Be mindful not to pull the thread too tight. Sew until the edge of the fabric piece lies flat. For the subsequent positions of the edge joining points, handle them all using this method. I won't repeat the explanation anymore. Next, connect number 7 and number 8 with the large fabric piece on the left side. After connecting to the large fabric piece, finally, connect number 1 and number 2 separately. When connecting, you need to leave an opening for sewing on the zipper. I'll demonstrate the joining method using a sample swatch. First, place the pieces according to the positions in the chart. Place number 1 at the bottom, and number 2 on top. Align the left side. Connect from the left edge towards the right for about 9 centimeters in length. The swatch length is random. After weaving in the yarn tails, leave an opening. The opening is approximately 17 centimeters long. Measure the corresponding length from left to right. Pay attention that the number of chain spaces left on the upper and lower pieces should be identical. Make a mark on the chain space on the far right. Then connect the right side of the piece. When connecting from right to left, the 2 chain spaces to the right of the stitch marker are the ending position. When connecting from left to right, the 2 chain spaces to the right of the stitch marker are the starting position. The specific direction of connection is determined based on the actual situation. After completing the connection, connect it to the larger piece on the right. That concludes the explanation of the connection method for section 1. Next, connect section 2. Section 2 is made up of piece 1 and piece 2. Let's take a look at the finished product. Section 2 is divided into the left front piece, the right front piece, and the back piece. The left and right here are based on when it is actually being worn. Now, let's look at the left front piece. First, connect number 9 and number 10 of piece 1 together. Then connect number 1 of piece 2. After completing, connect the left front piece with section 1 from left to right. Then let's take a look at the right front piece. First, connect number 11 of piece 1 with number 2 of piece 2. After completion, connect the right front piece with section 1 from right to left. Finally, let's look at the back piece. First, connect number 11 of piece 1 with number 2 of piece 2. Then connect it with number 3 of piece 2. After completing, connect it with section 1. I will explain the method for connecting the back piece to section 1 using a sample swatch. When connecting the back piece with section 1, there needs to be a chain space as an interval between the left and right front pieces. We will mark the chain spaces next to the left and right front pieces. When connecting the back piece with section 1, connect the chain spaces between these 2 stitch markers. Do not connect at the stitch marker positions. Please connect the back piece on your own. I won't demonstrate it in detail. After completion, connect the diagonal edges of the front and back pieces. I will demonstrate the connection method using a small sample. Here, only connect the edges of the diagonal sides of the front and back pieces up to the stitch marker position. This segment determines the joining direction based on the actual situation. This is what it looks like after one diagonal edge is connected. The method for connecting the other diagonal edge is identical. I won't demonstrate it in detail. After connecting the diagonal edges, the remaining parts of the front and back pieces are used to connect with section 3. Next, connect section 3. Let's take a look at the finished product. Section 3 is made up of knitted piece number 12 and number 13. Number 12 is on the left. Number 13 is on the right. Here, you need to connect the top and middle edges of these two fabric pieces. After it's done, connect it entirely to the top of section 2. The method is the same as before. Everyone, refer to the chart to finish it. I won't demonstrate it. After completing the connection of section 3, proceed to connect section 4. Let's take a look at the finished product. Section 4 consists of the sleeve pieces, and there are 2 of them. They are made up of piece 1 and piece 3. First, connect number 14 of piece 1 with number 1 of piece 3. Here, my swatch is already connected. Fold the connected piece along the long edge. Then, connect this long edge from bottom to top. After it's completed, stretch the loop. There's no need to fasten off the yarn. Hook the ball of yarn out from the loop. Then tighten it. Next, connect it together with the left front piece of section 2 and the back piece. The connection starts from the underarm. Count the number of stitches at both connecting positions first. Work single crochets on the side with more stitches. There are 2 cases here. I'll demonstrate them separately. When section 4 has more stitches, start connecting from the connection point of section 4. Insert the hook into the hole below the connection point, and pull the yarn through. Don't pull the yarn too tight here. Make a chain stitch. Then work a single crochet in the same stitch. Next, connect to the chain space at the marker position of section 1. Remove the marker. Then connect section 4 with the back piece. Start by connecting the joining point between section 1 and the back piece. When connecting here, adjust the stitch count if necessary. The position for the SC2 tog should be close to the underarm area. Continue connecting downwards. After connecting one round, end again at the underarm position. Break the yarn. There will be a small hole under the arm. Use the yarn tail on the wrong side to sew up the small hole. After sewing, make sure to weave in the ends yourself. I will not continue with the demonstration from here. This way, one sleeve is connected and completed. When section 4 has fewer stitches, start connecting from the chain space at the stitch marker position in section 1. Remove the stitch marker. Insert the hook into the chain space. Draw out the yarn end that's attached to section 4. The joining point needs to align with the chain space of section 1. So don't pull the yarn too tight. Make a chain stitch. Work a single crochet in the chain space. Then connect to the joining point of section 4. Next, connect the left front piece to section 4. Start by connecting the joining point of the left front piece. Continue connecting until you finish the round. Then sew together the holes and weave in the ends. The method is relatively simple, so I won't demonstrate it. The joining method for the other sleeve is exactly the same. Please complete the connection of section 4 on your own. Finally, weave in the remaining yarn tails. Follow the texture on the wrong side of the coat and secure all ends. Up to this point, the main part of the coat has been completed. Next, we will sew on the zipper. Find the position of the zipper pocket that was left before. Remove the stitch marker. With the backside facing you. Section 1 facing downward. Here, I'll demonstrate with a sample swatch. Take out the sewing thread and sewing needle. Here, I'll use random colors. Cut a piece of sewing thread about 1 meter long. Thread the sewing needle. Tie a knot at the end of the thread. Take out the zipper. Close the zipper. Place it with the zipper head facing right. Align it with the rightmost edge of the fabric opening. Let's start by sewing the bottom side. The top edge of the fabric should be about 0.5 centimeters away from the zipper teeth. Here, we'll use a backstitch for sewing. Insert the sewing needle from underneath the zipper teeth, at a position about 0.5 centimeters from the rightmost end. Pick up the inner side of the fabric behind. Without passing through the fabric. Come out about 0.5 centimeters to the left. Pull the yarn through. Tighten it. Then insert the sewing needle again at the first insertion point. Pick up the inner side of the fabric behind. Without passing through the fabric. Come out about 1 centimeter to the left. Next, insert the sewing needle again at the adjacent insertion point on the right side. And come out about 1 centimeter to the left. Again, pick up from the inner side of the fabric. And repeat this process to sew backward. Sew until you reach about 2 centimeters to the left of the reserved opening on the fabric. Tie a few knots on the wrong side. Trim any excess yarn tails. One side of the zipper is now sewn up. Use the same method to sew the other side. After completing, it's time to deal with the excess zipper. Follow the ending position where the zipper is sewn. Cut off the excess zipper. at about 1.5 centimeters to the right of the cut edge. Sew a few stitches through the two tapes top and bottom. This prevents the zipper head from falling off. This way, the zipper is sewn on properly. Next, sew the lining fabric. Take out the fabric and cut out a square shape. The edge length should be the same as the zipper's length. Here, I've already cut it out. My sample swatch is smaller. When you're cutting for real, remember to cut out a square. The fabric piece has a right side and a wrong side. The right side feels smoother to the touch. Place the right side of the fabric against the wrong side of the knitted piece. Align the top edge of the fabric with the top edge of the zipper tape. Align the left and right edges with the ends of the zipper tape. Take the sewing needle threaded with yarn. Tie off the yarn end. Here, we'll use the whip stitch method. Bring the sewing needle up from the right side of the fabric, 0.5 centimeters away from both the top edge and the right edge. Exit upwards. Move 0.5 centimeters to the left along the top edge of the fabric and go down. Pick up from the inside of the piece, and pass through the zipper tape. Exit. Be mindful not to come out on the right side of the fabric. Again, move 0.5 centimeters to the left along the top edge of the fabric and go down. Pick up from the inside of the piece, and pass through the zipper tape. Exit. All four edges of the fabric are sewn together using this method. Both sides and the bottom edge of the fabric. Just pass through the inside of the piece, and sew it to the fabric. Continue sewing downward using this method. Once completed, tie a few knots. Trim any excess yarn tails. The lining fabric is now sewn together. Next, sew on the buttons. Let's take a look at the finished product. Overlap the left and right front pieces of the coat along the line under the arm. Place the side with buttonholes on top. The position of the piece below that corresponds to the buttonhole location is where you will sew the button. Place a stitch marker here to mark the spot. Below, I'll demonstrate the method for sewing on buttons using a sample swatch. Here, I've already placed the mark. Take the threaded sewing needle with a knot. Pass the sewing needle from behind the piece, coming out at the position marked by the stitch marker. Remove the stitch marker. Take the button. Pass the sewing needle through the buttonhole of the button. Do not pull the thread all the way through. Insert the sewing needle back into the fabric near the exit point. Thread the sewing needle through the yarn loop, where the knot is. Tighten the sewing thread. Come out again on the front side of the fabric nearby. Pass through the buttonhole. Insert the sewing needle into the back of the fabric piece. Tighten the sewing thread. Repeat this process several times. When doing the last sewing, to prevent the buttonhole from wearing out the fabric, wrap the thread around the buttonhole a few times. Pass the needle through the wrapped loops. Go back to the wrong side of the piece. Tighten it. Pick up nearby loops on the wrong side, and tie a knot a few times. Trim any excess yarn tails. The button is now sewn on. sew the rest of the buttons using this method. I won't demonstrate further. Up to this point, the knitting method for this coat has been fully explained. If you have any questions during the process, don't hesitate to reach us via our website, Susan's Family. Supporting your handwork experience, sharing the joy of life. Thank you all for watching. See you in the next episode.